Hi friend, I just wanted to take a minute to invite you to our Lash Biz Babes Experience 2026. This is a one-day all online event happening on May 2nd, and our theme for the year is going all in. We are shaking things up and doing it differently than anyone ever has before. This is going to be an all online event as usual, but it's going to be 100% a curated journey throughout your day as we guide you through the mindset, strategy, and passion needed to go all in on your business to make it your best year in business yet. All lash artists, estheticians, and beauty professionals are invited to join us. There will be guided sessions, interactive workshops, a panel discussion, and big giveaways happening throughout that whole day. And tickets are on sale now for only $199. Payment plans are available. Let's go all in on our businesses for 2026 together. All the details and the link for tickets are down in the show notes below. I would love to have you join us online in May. Welcome back to Lash Biz Babes, the business and marketing podcast for solo lash artists and beauty business owners. I'm so excited to be back again with you guys this week. My name's Erica. I'm your host. I help solo lash artists build a full clientele and create a life that they love. And I'm really freaking excited for this week's episode. We've got another guest on the show this week. We've got Kari Bristow from Kari Designs talking to us today. And you guys, if you don't know who Kari is, you are in for a treat. She is the retention queen of the industry and has so much knowledge and experience and insights to share with us today. I'm really excited for you to listen to her. We're going to be talking about retention, clientele building, business, and mom life, and all the things in between. So get ready for this amazing episode. And if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Welcome to the Lash Biz Babes podcast. So first off, if you just want to introduce yourself, a little more about you and how you got into lashes.
Okay. Hello. I am Kari Bristow. I am the owner of Kari Designs. I have been in the beauty industry. I graduated hair school in 2010. I also went to aesthetic school shortly afterwards. I learned lashes in hair school, but I didn't really get into it until aesthetics. And honestly, I didn't even get into it really until maybe 2014, 2015, when volume was introduced. I remember, classics way back when they first started were, in my opinion, really ugly.
I would agree with that.
They were so ugly. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to offer this. They're so ugly. Like anytime I saw a set, they were like J curl, very heavy looking, the 0.25s, not cute whatsoever. Plus training wasn't so great. So even though I was trained, I didn't feel really confident. And then, of course, I thought they looked so ugly. So I was like, no, I'm not going to offer this. I got better training in aesthetic school. And then I actually went back and became a licensed instructor for that aesthetic school and got continued training in lashes. And I did notice definitely that techniques were getting a little bit better here and there, but for the most part, I really didn't think education really picked up until about 2015, in my opinion. And that's when I saw work on Instagram that actually looked really good. And I sought out training from a company that I felt like could train me really well, and got trained in volume. And it kind of went from there, and it kind of exploded. I stopped doing hair and just exclusively started doing lashes and brows. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess.
I love that. I would totally agree with you though. Like classics when they first started out. So I didn't go to aesthetic school till 2014, but my sister learned lashes in cosmetology school and trained for a company here in Utah after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had sat through lash trainings with her and stuff. And it's just so crazy how much different it was. I remember the first time she did my lashes, I was like, I wish we could do like really full, like basically what volume is now.
Yes.
Not that she didn't do a good job, but it just was like, if I'm going to have these on, I wish it was like boom in your face, at least for me. That's what I
Right.
like.
I have a
So I
niece.
was really
Sorry.
excited when, oh, you're just fine. I was just saying,
I have
I
a
was,
niece who's going to aesthetic school right now.
mhm.
She's currently in aesthetic school, and her first sets are like my sets after like a year and a half. Like training is
Yes.
so much better than it used to be. It's so crazy.
I 100% agree. And I feel like there's so much more support now that girls coming out of school feel so much more confident to jump right into
Hmm.
going solo. I'm always so impressed. Like, I was
Right.
talking about that with the girl I trade lashes with, and she's just like, these girls coming out of school are just so confident, and I love it, and which is pretty awesome, just seeing where it started and where it is now.
Yeah, I
Um,
think a lot of that has to do with social media because when I learned lashes, I there wasn't many. I think there was like Facebook, and I think Instagram maybe came out. Sure. I'm sure Instagram was around. I think
I
by
think it got more popular though, and especially for like businesses. It
yes,
wasn't just like a personal page anymore.
exactly. So like when I graduated, I didn't really see much people posting their work, and there weren't like forums, at least not yet. So now when they're entering even school and then the workforce, there are hundreds of thousands of pages and Instagram profiles and online education. I mean, it's not
Mhm.
like so hard to find someone to train you. Like it's everywhere now. So I'm so glad that artists now are getting better education. It just makes um, lashes in general improve, improve, improve. Where I feel like
Right.
for us in the beginning, it was such a slow process in the beginning. And now with social media and the internet, progress is made even faster.
Exactly. When I feel like it's brought the whole industry together so much more, like just the
Yes,
community of it all, and
for
not
sure.
versus like when people used to like gatekeep all their information and
Yes.
be super secretive versus now where it's like open and
Mhm.
it's community and we're all helping each other. Like the difference that I've even observed with that has been so like incredible to watch, and I feel like it only benefits everybody.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Okay, so I would love also for you to tell us like what your experience was like building your clientele, especially, where you got started
Hmm.
several years back, the difference between that and, today.
Right. So building my clientele obviously started as a hairstylist. That's what I started out doing. Um, I did a little bit of aesthetic treatments as well. For me, I worked at a hair salon for a little bit, so I gained clientele that way. And I think for most people, they start out doing their friends and family. So for me, it was friends, family, and then the walk-ins or the people who scheduled with me at my hair salon. Not my hair salon, but the one I worked for. So,
Right.
um, and I only worked there for maybe a year. And I think it's because, oh, I got pregnant. I was really sick. So I started actually just taking clients from my home. And I kept my clientele small because I was pregnant and then obviously had my baby. And I did hair for probably about 7 years and then lashes here and there. Again, wasn't like very serious with the lashes yet. But how I kind of promoted myself, I did my best to share what I could on Facebook. I think back then that was my primary way of finding clients. And then word of mouth through my family and friends. That was, I think, the main way I started getting clients. And then as I transitioned to lashes, I was lucky enough that a lot of my hair clients wanted to try out, get lashes, and that was great. Um, and then it was word of mouth mostly. And then once I kind of got a handle on how Instagram could be used, not just to share photos of your life, but photos of your work and promote yourself. I really was just always searching and seeing how other people promoted themselves, asking other artists how they got busy. And a lot of it was posting really good photos, being consistent with posting, and using hashtags that were specific to your area and your niche, not doing anything too broad. Hashtags have always been a great tool and they were useful, especially back then. So I would say mostly that's how I did it back then was a word of mouth process and then posting on Instagram. And I got many DMs, and I got a lot of clients simply by that. I know the market continues to be more saturated, but that doesn't mean those things still don't work. You can still find clients via Instagram, word of mouth, things of that nature. Now my books are closed. I have a very small clientele of 4 ladies who I adore. And so
Love
I'm not
it.
really looking to get more clients, but um, as far as lash clients go. But when I think about, I'm trying to get students as my clients, you know?
Right.
So I still have to use those same kind of methods. I'm promoting myself on social media. Now that's come a long way. It's not just hashtags anymore. You have to be more aggressive with your marketing. Um, and I primarily promote myself on Instagram, yes, through hashtags, but through content that helps inform, educate, inspire, etc., to build my student clientele, if that helps answer the question.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I know there's a lot of people in our community here who are shifting more into that education space too.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing to point out, that it's really just the same thing, but you're shifting your focus on a
Yeah.
different audience.
Uh-huh.
So with your word of mouth, do you feel like there's anything you did particularly that helped that take off a lot? Because I know that's always something that gets recommended a lot, but then it's like, if you don't have that many like friends or family in your area, or people aren't giving you as many referrals, do you think there's anything that they can be doing to help speed up that process?
Right. I feel very fortunate that I live in a hometown where I have primarily all of my family. And then obviously I've been here my whole life, so I have quite a few friends and acquaintances. So that might not always work for someone who has moved to a new place. I know obviously you've gone through that. I know many lash artists
Mhm.
who have picked up and moved somewhere else, and they're starting fresh with no referrals and no family, no friends. Um, and I think that's a little bit trickier, but not impossible. You've been proof of that. So anytime I'm having a conversation with a lash artist about that, I really tell them they need to hone in, obviously, with their marketing on Instagram, being consistent with posting, being consistent with um, your message, with hashtags, and then finding people in your area, networking with other lash artists, because often other lash artists get referrals themselves, and they can't always fill their books with these people who are trying to get in. So if you can get to know other lash artists in your area and say, hey, if you're getting people trying to get in with you, but you can't take them, can you send them my way? I think that's a great way. There's so many times where I've sent so much work to other lash artists because my books aren't open. And then there's always networking with local beauty, like, um, hair salons, tanning
Right.
salons, things like that. Trying to, give each other information, cross promote, and things like that. So, if you're in a new area, you need to hustle and work hard, but it's not impossible.
I love that. I totally agree. That's one of the things I did too, is I started trading lashes for hair with someone, and then we just
Yeah,
referred clients to each other. And so
totally.
then I had like a hair girl, and then I would refer clients to the microblading girl in my building, and she'd refer clients to me.
Hmm.
And networking with other lash artists and beauty professionals, I feel like, is totally underrated but super effective, because you have that same audience of people.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel like there were any like struggles you ran into along the way with like, even just not just with building your clientele, but in general in your lash journey? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I think the two things they're picking up in the lash industry much more, but in the beginning of my career and in the lash industry, the two things that were missing was adequate client and business education. And second, which is what I specialize in, is retention. So back then, I didn't fully understand how to run a proper business. Like now I have a website, I have things like that. When people book, it's through a website. Back then it was like, send me a DM and I'll book you. Where I had no shows. I had people who were coming late, or there was just miscommunication a lot of times. And I wish someone had said, hey, I know it seems easier to do this, but you'll be more successful and you'll have less no-shows and all of that if you actually have even a very simple, basic booking website. And then along with that, having more education about policies and how to keep them enforced. And I think a lot of new artists in any beauty genre, whatever that they're working in, they have a hard time setting those policies in place and keeping them concrete. Yes, they get walked over a lot. So I think in my early days, I wish I had someone, a mentor, more education. Even in hair school, in aesthetic school, there's not nearly enough education about business and policies and things like that. I wish I had someone to kind of hold my hand and walk me through those things. And then secondly, like I mentioned, retention. Back in those days, and even still now, the main focus is fundamentals, which obviously we need: how to lash in a healthy, correct way. But then after that, all the classes are like artistry.
Right.
Which is great. I've taken several artistry courses. They are definitely important and they're wonderful and they're good. But I think lash artists jump from the basics to artistry and they miss a really crucial step, which is, okay, now that you've learned how to lash, let's learn the extra little things to help you lash in a way that those actually last long enough. Because having a beautiful set is great, but it doesn't mean a darn thing to your clients if they have to come back every week or whatever to get them filled. So those are the two things. Business and retention are the main things that I wish I would have learned earlier on in my career.
Totally same. I'm over here just like shaking my head yes to everything you're saying.
Right, seriously.
Because I felt the same way when I first got started. And, especially when I went solo and going out on my own and trying to navigate through like how to run a business, that was really overwhelming for me. And so I think that is one of the things that I'm really grateful has improved and evolved along with, retention training and just overall better like products and things.
Right.
So is that part of what made you decide to really focus in on teaching retention?
Yes. I mean, I think that everyone tends to teach their specialty, and their specialty usually comes from struggle. And retention was my main struggle for years. And I was someone who had several certifications under my belt and was still struggling with it. And I think one day, it was like after a particularly long lashing day where I had regular clients and then I had to fit in, I think like 2 or 3 who just had awful retention and I had to fix them. And it was like the end of the day and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And it kind of just lit this fire in me that I'm like, I got to figure this out. And so it was reading blogs, YouTube videos, and a lot of trial and error, taking notes, being diligent about keeping track of what I was doing to see what worked and what didn't. And it just became a passion and still is, because I realized there was like no retention help anywhere. Everyone was giving very vague or different ideas of how to fix retention. A lot of it was just, oh, it's probably just your glue. You should try this company.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
there's still some of that too.
Still a lot of that. And just kind of random things. And so I really studied it for, I feel like a year or two before I was like, okay, I think I understand. And then started talking about it and then eventually started my trainings. And that's how I feel like everybody has like their niche, and it's usually born out of like a trial or a tribulation within their own lash
Yeah.
journey. And that was mine specifically. So it was also kind of like see a need, fill a need. There was no one really talking about retention um consistently, I mean, and I was like, okay, this is where I need to step in and see what I can do to help.
Yeah, and I remember seeing like I think I started following you because someone shared one of your posts on on their stories like I don't know, a handful of years ago or more. But I remember thinking like it was so cool that you talked specifically about retention because I don't think I'd ever seen that before.
Yeah.
And because it was such a gap in the industry, I was like excited to find you because it was something I knew I needed to work on. And I think that helps people stand out too when you do focus on like that thing that you're really good at, or
Yeah.
niching down on that. And whether
Hmm.
that's if you're an educator or an artist, decide what you're really good at and lean into that strength of yours.
Right.
um and personally, I've taken your course before
I
and it
know.
was such a big game changer, literally.
Thank
I
you.
Well, and it's crazy too because I was like 5 years, or I don't even remember, like at least 5 years into lashing by the time I took your course, and there was so much in-depth information that it was like, oh my gosh, how did I go this long without
I
knowing
know.
these things?
I know. And that's why I push it so much because I really want I really want retention information education to be in foundation courses. Um, like whenever I teach a newbie, like classic or volume artist, my retention course is smashed into it because it's important. They should know that right out the gate. Um, Focusing a little bit less on the artistry, which again, still very important, but not as important as the retention.
I totally agree with that. And I feel like retention is one of those base techniques that you need, and
Hmm.
artistry is something that you can continue to build and evolve off of over time as well.
Absolutely.
But like you have to get people's lashes lasting because that's
Yes,
what they're paying you for.
exactly.
So do you feel like retention plays a role in creating that loyal clientele?
Absolutely. This is something that I talk about on Instagram and even have included it in my retention mastery. That really there are three pillars to quality lash extensions. The first pillar is health. Lash extensions have to be healthy. Second is longevity, which is retention. And then third is beauty. And for clients, the main thing they care about are the first two, health and longevity. They care if they are, pinching or poking or hurting, and then they care if they last. I've had so many clients where I've done a beautiful set and they're like, oh, yeah, it looks great. But they're not like, oh, I really see how you did this change and it's so amazing. No, the thing that they notice, they come back and they say, oh, they lasted so much better this week. Or they're coming back and they're saying, they did not last well at all.
Right.
And I've noticed the number one factor, whether a client stayed with me or booked again with me, was if I could consistently give them good retention. I really feel like that is the number one factor for most clientele. Like, yes, clients will stay if like you guys have a great bond, you have a great rapport, and they feel comfortable there. I'm not saying all the other extras don't matter. I'm not saying that at all. But bottom line, clients are paying mostly a very expensive price, and they're going to stop coming to you if they're paying all this money for zero return and the lashes are just falling out prematurely. So I think I would say top three reasons why a client books with you and stays with you or not is if you can give them good retention.
I 100% agree with that. And especially if it's like a new client to you who's gone other places before.
Yeah.
And if you have really good retention and they've never had that before, I
Yeah.
feel like that makes them such a loyal client to you.
And they'll
Uh,
they'll tell everyone about you too.
yes, exactly. Which is
Hmm.
so, with, if someone's wanting to learn more about retention, where do you think that they should start?
With better retention?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first and foremost, cleansing. It's such a simple thing, but I would actually like to see across the board lash artists cleansing their clients' lashes just before just before the set. Like I, back in the day, used to say, just have your clients wash them just before they come. But oftentimes, even if clients are really diligent and wash just before they get there, I've noticed that clients don't give a really good deep clean as
Mm-hmm.
well as you can yourself. I just think it's something that adds to the service. It makes it more of a luxury service. To me, it's the equivalent of getting your nails done, and they do the nail artists that really put time and effort into really good cuticle work. You'll notice those nails don't lift and pop off. It's like the same thing. Like you wouldn't go to get your nails done and they wouldn't touch your cuticles or clean off the nail bed, right? If they
Right.
didn't, those nails would not last. So I want it to just be kind of standard. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like a lash bath should be standard now. That is the first step. Not only is it going to give you a nice clean canvas for the adhesive to stick, but it's just going to prevent buildup and then eye infections and things like that. So that's the first step. And secondly, I'm seeing a lot of girls, honestly, that I see mostly, it's just they're not using enough adhesive. Lash extensions don't attach by magic. They attach with the adhesive. It's the adhesive that makes them stick. So if you're noticing that they're just flaking off, that's a sure sign that you're just not using enough. So those are two really simple ways to increase your lash retention.
I love those tips, especially because, when I took your course and then started implementing even just these little things, it
Mm-hmm.
made such a difference
Right.
in my clients' retention
Mm-hmm.
and, just really being able to give them the best quality service that I could,
Right.
and give them those lashes that were going to last. And I think also having that better, refreshed retention education helped me educate my clients better as well
Totally.
to make
Mm-hmm.
the most of their investment, which they were all thrilled with. So
Exactly.
I'm so glad that you are like so passionate about retention because
I am. Yes.
it literally changed my business so much.
Oh, I'm so glad to
And I
hear that.
think
I love it.
it's so necessary in the industry. Um, so if any educators are listening, would you have any advice on how they can better integrate like retention education into like their basic trainings?
I love that. That's a great question. Because obviously I can't be the only one teaching retention. I'm only one woman, and there are probably millions of lash artists.
Yeah.
So other educators, this is something that if they feel comfortable, should include in their training. Um, so that is a great question. I think the first thing is before they teach it, it's something that they need to feel skilled and confident in. I'm never for someone just teaching something for the sake of teaching it. They really have to be practicing it, and they need to be pretty much an expert on the subject. So
Right.
I would say before they start teaching it is to make sure they got everything. Sorry, I'm like losing my words, but they need to make
Okay.
sure that their retention is good. So, and if it's not, okay, that's when they need to start either finding education such as mine that they can take and educate
Yes.
themselves, but also they're practicing in their alone time with their clients and taking notes and seeing what's working, what's not. I love personal education, like your personal trial and error. Obviously, taking education from another educator, it's great. You learn a lot from that person, but I feel like you learn a lot by kind of doing your
Hands-on.
own experiments and your own studies and your hands-on. So that's the first thing to do. Secondly, obviously, other educators have other niches that they kind of specialize in. So if they want to incorporate retention, it doesn't have to be a big program like mine. It can be like 5 really solid tips that they can teach quickly that that can really help. It doesn't have to be a full program, but I do think everyone should be incorporating 3 to 5 really solid tips to help their students.
Right. Like at least like the basics of it.
Absolutely. Because the basics really take you further. I teach a lot of aspects of lash retention, but I really hone in 5 specific things that really should help. So just those 5 things any educator could teach, and their students would be like, "Okay, bless you. Not only did you teach me mega volume, but you taught me how I can have my mega volume fans last even longer." So
Right.
the basics are what actually take you the furthest with lash retention. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Right. I love that. And, one thing I've done with my trainings is make sure to have like my retention section in the manual so that when they come back to it, or like as they're lashing, they can come back to it
Absolutely.
if they're having problems. Like there's like a
Hmm.
troubleshooting section in my manual. So
Yeah,
like
like a
if
checklist. Have you
your
done this?
client,
Have you done that?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it has a section that's like if your client is experiencing this, like if their lashes are popping off, or if they're coming to you like 2 days later and they've got red eyes, or like if your client's experiencing this, then here's what you can do, some things to experiment with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's been something that's been really helpful for students. And I love that you said, no matter what niche you've gotten into, like you can still include some retention things into it. I think that
Yeah.
is an awesome tip for educators.
Yeah.
So, kind of shifting gears now, but you were talking about how you were like pregnant and lashing
Hmm.
and building your clientele, and you're a mom now. You've got 4 kids, right?
Yes. Yep.
So love that. Busy woman. So tell
Yes.
us about mom life and like business and lash life, and what's your balance between them, or like your ebb and flow for it?
Hmm. So the term balance does not exist. I need to put that out there now. That was something that I had to learn. I would see other moms in the beauty industry, which whatever industry they're in, and think, oh my gosh, they're so balanced. They have it so together. They don't have any hiccups in their day. And from what I've learned from all of them is that is a complete lie. Balance does not exist. There are ebbs and flowing of your business and your personal life. And although I kind of live and die by my schedule, I also have had to learn to be flexible and to be okay when things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. Because human life is unpredictable, business is unpredictable. So you make a plan, but also plan to be flexible. And that's something that I'm still learning. I don't want anyone listening to this or seeing me on Instagram or YouTube to think that I have everything down pat. No, I'm still learning what works for me and for my family and for my business. And the thing is, as soon as you feel like you've got a good like flow and schedule, well, your children and your babies are changing. So like one
Yeah.
day my baby boy is taking 2 really great naps, and then like the next month he turns 1, and for all I know, he could be on like a sleep strike and not want to sleep, and then I don't have that time. So kind of how I feel is I definitely live off of a belief system of putting my family first. Absolutely. Um, because I don't want to look back at my life and see that, sure, I was super successful, but I didn't spend any time with my family. Um, so I put my family first. But when I can put my business on the front burner, I make sure that I do as much as I can in the time that I've given for those days where I have no time to commit to business, but I still have things backlogged or batch work created or a bunch of reels created and things like that that I can just plug in and do for the days where I can't commit any time to my business, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally. I can 100% relate to that.
Right. Do you have 3 or
I've
4
got
kids?
two.
Oh, 2. I'm way off.
Two. That's okay. They keep me plenty busy though. My
Right, right.
youngest is wild. She's my second one, and they
Yeah,
always say second kids are the craziest. But
they are.
yeah, I totally agree. And I think even when I've got like a good plan, like you said, kids throw a wrench in your, not a wrench in your day, but like
Yeah.
plot twist basically.
Yes,
So there's, days where like she's teething and she just wants mom, or she didn't sleep the night
exactly.
before. I was up 5 times with her. And I think, what you said about getting as much done as you can in the time you have to work on your business is super important.
Yeah,
And just giving yourself grace outside of that, because
absolutely.
it can be a lot of overwhelm, and
Yes.
that's not sustainable long term. So we
Yeah.
definitely have to go with the flow on it.
Go with the flow. And I really want to emphasize there have been times in my career that I've taken months off from posting, from doing anything. And anytime I hear other women say, I would love to do that, but I'm terrified. And I have to tell you, Instagram, your business will always be there. Yes, you might lose followers, you might lose some cash flow, but if what you need is a break, you need to take one.
Yeah.
When I feel myself like splitting at the seams, I feel spent. I feel like I have no creative juices, I have no ideas and everything, and I'm feeling like I can't do this anymore. When I feel like I want to quit, that's when I know I just need a good break. Not like a day or two. I need to take a couple weeks to a couple months off depending on your burnout and what obviously you can commit to like being away from. I'm fortunate enough that my husband is the main financial provider. I don't have to work to provide for my family, at least not anymore. So I can take breaks, but I just see the burnout is overwhelming, especially um, with the lash artists who are also mothers or caretakers of any kind.
Yes.
And no amount, no paycheck, no accolades, no amount of followers is worth your mental health, you know, going down the toilet. Like it's not. So if you feel like you need a break, take a break. I've stepped away and yeah, I lost maybe a couple hundred followers, but to me, that wasn't really a loss. If they were followers that were kind of fickle and they left, well, that's fine. They weren't for me. I had thousands who stayed, who actually cared about me and my content. So I don't love this whole like hustle culture, especially with moms, because we're already hustling 24/7 for our
Mhm.
families. So your family, your mental health should come first. There are times where maybe you're in a booming season with your business, and that's definitely more in the forefront, but it should never completely overtake your life, that you're never with your family and you're feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out.
Yeah, and it's that ebb and flow with it for sure.
Absolutely.
That I love all the insight you gave there. That's what I always tell like my students and my coaching clients when they're feeling like burnt out and overwhelmed. It's like, okay, like take a step back, like take a
Yeah.
breather for a second and go do something that you love to do. Like whether that's
Yes.
go watch your favorite movie or eat your favorite foods or like get outside. That's what
Yes.
I love to do.
Unplug. Unplug.
Yes, as we love like going to the lake and stuff, and I will just
Love
like
it.
get my feet in the sand and enjoy my kids and
Yeah.
spending time with my husband. And so, if you're feeling that way, that's I always recommend that too. Like take some time for you, because that just gives you the space to like recharge and re-energize and just
Yes.
get like re-inspired on things. Because I feel like
Absolutely.
that's when my like creative juices come in the most, or I can get
Exactly.
like content ideas or like program ideas or like just generalized like clarity with what I'm doing with my business is when I'm like taking that time for myself. And
Absolutely.
so I think everything you said really, enforces that and gives them some good guidance on how to navigate that, because
Yeah.
especially starting out, if you're a mom and building your business and growing your clientele, it can feel really overwhelming to begin with.
Yes. And you have that mom guilt and
Mm-hmm.
feeling bad, stepping away from your family, which, you know, sometimes that needs to happen. And you shouldn't feel guilty about that. But, you know, work isn't life. It's a part of your life, but it shouldn't be your whole life.
I agree. And that's one of the things. It's like, create your business to support you in a way that's going to allow you to live life how you want to. So
Mm-hmm.
if you want to spend more time with your family, how can you set up your business to allow you to do that?
Exactly. Yes. Make it
Um,
work for you.
yes. And I don't think this topic is talked about enough in the industry. So I've made it like a
No.
personal mission of mine to ask every guest who's a mom about
Yeah.
this.
It's
So,
really not. I think, and it's not just the industry. I think it's just business in general.
mhm.
I've I might butcher the quote, but moms are expected to work as if they don't have kids,
Yeah.
and are expected to be moms or have kids as if they don't work. Like, we are pulled in so many directions. We're supposed to be mothers who have no other commitments, the very best moms, but then also at the same time, as a businesswoman, be so committed that it's as if we don't have any kids, if that makes sense. That's not
Yes.
possible. There's a very huge like hustle culture, grind, all that stuff. And I don't love it. I
I
think it's
don't either.
yucky because it's kind of pushing this narrative like you have to grind yourself into the ground to be successful, and you have to make all
Like,
the sacrifices in the
yeah,
world. And yes, sacrifices do have to be made, but that should never be your family.
right. It
You know what
doesn't
I
have to
mean?
come at the cost of not spending time with your
Yeah.
kids or
And
ignoring
you,
your husband.
exactly. And you can be very successful. Yes, you'll make some sacrifices, but you can still be successful and still have sanity and still have a life and not feel like you're working 24/7 for your business.
Yes, I love that. And I think part of that too is, finding clients who are understanding of that in that way. Because,
Absolutely.
like, I
Hmm.
remember last year, it was while I had another lash artist working in my studio with me. We had this first time client come in, and I was supposed to do her lashes, but I woke up that morning and my son was sick. And so my other girl took this client, and the client was so annoyed about it and didn't come
Oh,
back
geez.
because of it. But I just was like, please don't come back, because
Yeah.
if that's like, I don't want you as a client that way. Like, I'm okay with
Right.
that. Like, not every client is for you. And I
Yes.
think, with me being a mom and growing my clientele and running my business, that's been a really important part, is like, I want clients and students who are understanding of that. So, like, when
Absolutely.
my baby shows up halfway through a training during the lunch break so I can nurse her, my students have always been so chill with that, and they love
Yes,
it. They
totally.
love it when she comes in. And so I think that's an important thing too, is, it's okay. Like, if the client isn't okay with that or they get upset with you, like, it's okay to tell them that, like, this isn't going to work out, and let them move on and find clients who are there for you and understanding and are respectful of you.
Right. That's
Because
another lesson that I definitely had to learn as well, that it's okay to say no to people. It's
yes.
okay to be picky about your clientele. And it doesn't mean you have to be rude or mean to the ones that,
Mm-mm.
it's just like, hey, you know what? I don't think I can give you what you
Not a
need,
good
and vice
fit.
versa. Here's some recommendations and I wish you well. Like,
Yes.
you'll actually be so much happier being more picky with your clientele, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that can be a scary thing sometimes, because
Hmm.
of like, oh, I don't want to lose money. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, your energy is going to be better because of it. And you're
Yes,
going to be able to make more money because of that,
absolutely.
having that better energy. So that was, that's always a good thing to
Yeah.
learn. So last question for you. I'd love to hear more about how, like, you transitioned into the education space of lashes, and like what you
Hmm.
do now, and how lash artists can connect with you and learn from you.
Right. Awesome. Thank you. So, Um, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually have my instructor's license, and I've been teaching since about 2011. So after I graduated aesthetic school, I had always wanted to teach. I love teaching. And so I decided to go ahead and just get my instructor's license. And then I was given the opportunity to go and be a student teacher at the aesthetic school that I went to. And I had taught there for like 4 years. So, and I was teaching a bunch of aesthetic things, but lashes was one of them. Taught classic. And so I've been teaching for many, many years. And then I had an opportunity to work for a lash company, and I worked for them teaching for about a year. All the while, I was also doing just solo teachings. And then it was just, I think, 2019 that I really decided to go for it and do my own lash trainings. Teaching has always been a passion of mine. I've always loved it. It's never, ever been about the money. If I could, I would just travel the world and teach my retention course, because it is something that it's been life-changing for many of my students and for me. And I think that would probably be my advice for anyone who wants to train. One, you don't have to be a trainer to be successful in the lash industry. I think a lot of people think that's like the progression that you have to do, but there's so many branches in the lash industry. You can just be a really amazing, successful lash artist. You can do a product line, you can open a salon, you can do mentoring, you can do big trainings, you can be a speaker, you can be a judge. There's so many things that you can do. You don't have to be a trainer. But if teaching is something you're so interested in, like I'd mentioned before, find something that you are so passionate about within education, within lashes. For me, that was retention. For you, it might be mega volume or Russian volume, or it might be the foundations. I actually love teaching foundational classic and volume material. I love that stuff too. It might be advanced stuff. It might be artistry. Find the one thing and niche down to it, and show your passion, show how much you care about teaching that subject to students, and go for it. Don't be held back. And you can go in the route of 2-day courses, 3-day courses, workshops, online programs, YouTube. There's so many modalities. Find the one that you love and you enjoy. Don't compare your teaching style to anyone else. I remember when I started my YouTube, which at this point I haven't done a video in like 2 years, but when I had started it, I heard a lot of flack from other people, like gossip, that it was like really lame. But I've been able to.
No way. I
yeah,
remember
like people
watching them and loving them.
like people straight up saying it was like causing the industry to it was cheapening the industry, which is ridiculous, because I wasn't sharing ultra valuable information. It was fundamentals and basics that should be taught in every fundamental course. But here's the thing. The reason why I was really passionate about teaching, especially for free on Instagram for a while, or YouTube for a while, a lot of educators in the industry act as if everyone has $2,000 to just drop on a training. That is not the case for the majority of people.
Right.
Especially for young artists who are like young women, young men, young women who they're straight out of school. Or what about the multiple students I've taught that are busy moms and they have very small budgets, or they are the main providers of their family? Not everyone has $2,000 to drop on a training, but those people still are hustling and doing their best. Don't they deserve a little bit of help?
Yeah.
In my opinion, they do. So that's why I put information on Instagram. I have my videos on YouTube, and I do my workshops for a smaller price than like a 2-day training. It doesn't cheapen the industry. No, it actually helps those people who normally would be offering maybe subpar lash work because of their subpar education. Instead, they've been able to get a couple really helpful tips and tricks to elevate their artistry, therefore make more money, and therefore spend more money on a higher priced education. So really
Yes.
that has been my main motivation. I've been teaching for a decade and I've come across all walks of life, people who have money to spend and people who have no pennies extra, nothing. But those people still deserve a little bit of help. And that's why I teach.
Yes, that is amazing. And, just making it more accessible for everyone. And I think
Absolutely.
that brings up the value of the industry and
Yes.
across the board.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, when I first went out solo, I remember seeing your content and loving your free content and so much that it was like a leeway into taking your course too, because
Yeah.
it was like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And so I'm just very thankful for you and
Oh
that you
my
were
gosh,
willing
you're
to come
sweet.
on. This is like full circle to interview you on my podcast, because I remember listening to you on like Lash Boss radio
Yeah.
when it first came out and being like, I'm going to take her course.
Oh my gosh, I love
And
to hear that.
so
That is
this
so
is full
sweet.
circle for me. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience and your insight and just
Yeah.
being such a great educator in the industry.
Well, oh my gosh, and full circle, you were a student of mine, and now you are teaching your niche, which is clientele building, business, and marketing. You have a podcast. You are absolutely killing it with your clients. So congratulations to you. It's so amazing to see how much you have grown and have become so successful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a ride and a good one, an exciting one. And I think for me that came out of that, my biggest struggle was business. Like you said, you struggle with retention, so that's what you focus in on now. And that was me too. So I worked at a corporate studio to begin with, and then went out after a year there, went out on my own, and I felt so confident with my lashing skills, but then I got out and was like, holy crap, I do not know how to get clients.
Right. It's hard. Yes.
And I didn't know anybody. And so then that became like my mission to like learn how to do it. And I told myself, like, when I get this figured out, I'm going to turn around and teach everyone else around me how to do it too, because
Totally.
I don't think people should have to struggle this hard. And
they shouldn't. Right.
That was my main motivation too. And, thank you so much. You're the best.
You're the best. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I so appreciate it.
You are so welcome.